like, yeah, my friend is watching someone's cat. And I'm like, oh, she's so cute. What a pretty girl. And she's like, yeah, she'll let me pet her and then she'll bite me. I'm like, oh, that's got to be a great cat thing.
All right, it's been almost 40 seconds, so that should allow everybody to get through the commercials and such.
They need to
Good.
hurry the hell up.
As you can tell, good morning, Ramen. Your microphone, I wish you
Good.
knew when it come in.
You know what? I'm a mute. It's coming in today, I think. The one I wanted is out of stock. It was the last one I had that actually worked really well. But they offered me something that kind of looks like it by a different company. I have a lot of confidence in it, but it'll be here. I just don't know when today. I'm on mute now.
Uh, Oh, we got a package being delivered to the house right now. Cool.
Did you get me something?
Oh, got a big package delivered to the house. Okay, let me get back to my set my phone back up to where I make watch what's going on the stream because I have a tendency to uh I get off of this screen, and so I'm not looking. I've got to use my phone to see what people are talking about. But anyway, Ramen. Yeah, I know. Okay, people. Ramen's got a crappy mic today. Hopefully, her new mic will be in. But we just got to suffer through it. Okay, Ramen, you got something to say? Jump in and say it. Okay, we can live
Oh,
through
I'm not. I'm not shy. You know better.
it. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about, one of the first things is if you looked at my thumbnail, you pretty well see everything I've got lined up to talk about, all but one thing. And honestly, I forgot I had that. It was one of the things I downloaded to my phone because what I'll do is I'll download things to my phone and then email them to myself, to my Shroom account. And that way they're there. Okay. I mean, but sometimes I'm getting so busy I forget to look at my email account. All right. And the wife is home, so that means I also need to shut off the security system because she is going to be walking around outside like she is right now. And I don't need the security system going off every 3 minutes. All right. We've seen some, starting with former FBI directors, the number 8647 showing up. Now, in parlance, especially in restaurants, all right, when they're saying they're 86ing something, that means to stop ordering it, to kill it. It's, to stop ordering, we're out. We're out of this item. The street slang, it also means to kill. We're going to 86 this person. 86 that rat, 86 that cat, that mouse, whatever. Well, then come out 8647. and 47 being Donald Trump being the 47th. This is, the 47th president of the United States. 45, 47. He was the 45th and 47th. So, what's next on that? We get people like this coming in. And, once a, oh, no, that's not what I want. Cancel. That's what I want. If you look down here, you see this teacher in the blue shirt. You see a giant 86, and over here in the wrinkled area, it's 47. So 86, 47. Indiana teacher resigns after wearing anti-Trump 8647 t-shirt during a White House trip. Yes, this teacher, she is not only so bold that she is indoctrinating her class into her personal political beliefs, that she is wearing a t-shirt that says, that translates to kill Trump, standing outside of the White House with her bestie there and the rainbow shirt saying be kind. Now, let's not jump to conclusions what she means by that, but well, we I'll take it as, you know, so, a couple of nice liberals there. And this is one thing. The thing is, I don't see a septum ring between the two. Maybe that because they're on a school trip, they took their septum rings out. Tanya Lukin, a teacher affiliated with the Middlebury Community Schools, drew attention on June 4th after posting a now deleted photo to Facebook showing herself and a colleague smiling outside the White House. Well, initially appeared to be an innocent snapshot of a school field trip, quickly escalated into a controversy once users online noticed the cryptic code on Lucan's shirt 8647. While the shirt displayed no explicit language, the number 8647 has become increasingly recognized political shorthand in some online circles. It's not just online. It's everywhere now. The 86 slang originating from the 1930s restaurant culture can mean to discard, cancel, or eliminate. Combined with 47, widely assumed to reference Donald Trump's 47th president. However, many interpreted the shirt to veil a call to harm or oppose the president. It's a call to harm. Let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest. The NASCAR during Joe Biden's presidency, there was that little statement, that came out to, there's a lot of people that had little statements, let's go, Joe. Let's go, Joe. Remember that? And what did, the TV reporter purposely changed the chant that was going at the NASCAR, changed it to let's go, Joe. Because they were doing F you, Joe, but.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon. What kind of bullshit was
Yeah, and then, then the Brandon, right. So anyway, in response to the growing controversy, Middlebury Community Schools released a public statement condemning Lucan's conduct and highlighting the district's strict policy on political neutrality. I am sure that if you went through Middlebury schools' classrooms, you're going to find gay pride flags in there somewhere, in multiple places, most likely. They've recently had teachers, the last week of school decided they were going to be wiseacres and do that. And the school board superintendent, he flat right told him any teacher caught with it will not have, this last week of school, these last couple of weeks of school will not have their contracts renewed for next year. That's all there is to it. Their contracts will not be renewed. Do
Gee,
not.
what a shame.
I'm sorry, Ramen. Middlebury Community Schools owns policies that require teachers to refrain from using their position to promote partisan political views. This prohibition applies to all teachers, regardless of their political leanings, to every partisan political message. Our educators should not be advocating personal political views, either directly or indirectly, to our students during the school day or while supervising them at a school function. Yeah, yeah. I'll believe that later on. So anyway, earlier this week, the schools learned of a social media post made by a teacher while serving as a chaperone on a student trip to our nation's capital. In the posted photographs, teachers wearing a T-shirt possessing a partisan political message while supervising the students. School administrators are actively investigating the situation. On June 5th, this officials revealed that the Lucan had voluntarily resigned after learning her contract was likely to be terminated. And see, that way, with her being resigning instead of being terminated, it's like cops. They can go ahead and resign from the police force, and then they can actively go and seek employment at other uh, law enforcement agencies. Well, teachers do the same thing. They start to get in trouble. They find out that their contracts are going to be terminated. So they go ahead and quickly resign. That way they don't have a black mark on their employment history. Have you ever been fired, terminated, whatever term they want to use? And no, I resigned. Okay, well then that you voluntarily resign that so you don't have a black mark on your record, and the next school district can hire them on. And whether or not they've learned a lesson, or maybe the school district is a little more lenient in political messaging to their students. So she is no longer teaching. After the conclusion of the school cooperations interview, and informed the school corporation would be commencing with cancellation of her contract, the teacher submitted her immediate resignation. So technically, you're fired. No, I quit. That way you can say you've never been fired because you quit in advance. Even though 30 seconds, if you'd waited 30 seconds before saying that, it'd been too late. You would have been fired. People, we've got to understand that these public employees, especially at schools. Oh, Ramen, you dropped. Did you,
But I'm
Ramen? Did you
back.
drop? Did you drop, or did I accidentally remove you?
No, this was all me. It's very hot in here. I have slippery fingers. I was trying to hit mute and I hit the back button like a dumbass.
Oh, well, it seems to have improved your microphone.
Yay!
I mean, it's still not great, but it's not as bad as it was.
I went to go check my Amazon delivery. It says shipped. It doesn't say out. I'm kind of mad.
I think my wife's birthday present got here.
What'd you get her?
It feels awful light to be her birthday present, but I'll find out here in a second. I found something that she said she liked and she wanted, so I went ahead and
What?
ordered it. Oh no. No, it's not what I'd hoped it was. Dang it. It's something from, remember I said I was getting a new, going on a new medication?
Yes.
Yeah, this
It's
is
your.
a welcoming kit from the,
Oh no! Are you supposed to start it today?
oh no. Now this is just books. Oh, I have no clue what that is, but it does not look very pleasant. What that is. But no, it's just a treatment journal. Oh yeah. And a guide for caregivers. This, yeah. Hey, you're starting a new drug. Look at the present we got for you. I have no clue what the hell this is, but it looks scary as hell. And when you get things from a medical group that you don't know what it is, you can only assume it's there for medical purposes. And this thing looks like it's to be inserted somewhere that I would not want to have it inserted. Oh, maybe a fancy pen. But that's okay. I still don't know. I still don't want to know what it. No. Ah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, it is a fancy pen. Ah, I see how it works now. Okay. I'll never use it as a pen. I'll probably end up throwing it away.
Wow.
Don't y'all love the real life interludes that pop into my stream sometimes?
Yours are fun. Mine suck, but yours are fun.
No, what I got for the wife for her coming in is because her birthday's the end of this month. And I got a reminder that since her car is in her name this year, she has to go and get the registration done on it and get new tags. Because I think this will be the first year she's had to pay for them. Because
I don't have tags either. I gotta get a new tag.
Because before
I've had it in years.
Car tags are always in my name.
Yeah.
And so come October, I had to go pay for tags for 2 cars for 2 years. So
They won't let me do it online. I have to go in person with my shiny new ID and try and get a tag now. And then insurance. Insurance is going to be, I think I have to do the insurance first before the tag, though.
Okay.
Walmart was selling car insurance.
All
There
right.
we
So
go.
that I'm getting ready to find a new car insurance company. That I'm kind of sick and tired of the one I've got now. Even though I've been with them for well over 30 years.
I
Probably
don't
close
know
to
why my ex. I was on my ex's car insurance. I don't know why he just won't keep me on his. It'd be easier than always running around. Whatever.
okay. I want to talk about yeah, y'all know I've said it before. I took classes in journalism. I wanted to work in a television station when I was always had always been interested in working in TV. Uh, Started off wanting to be a cameraman, then wanted to be an engineer. I never really wanted to be a newscaster, but part of my degree in broadcasting, uh, part of that degree also involved a lot of journalism classes because it was a overall degree on radio and television broadcasting, and a year and as well as the technical aspects of it, which first class licenses and everything else, the engineering portion, and then the cameraman, how to operate the different pieces of equipment, that cameraman would be required to do, and setting up audio and studio lighting and everything else. I mean, there's pretty involved courses. There was a lot of classes on journalism, real heavy classes on journalism. Because especially with smaller stations, everybody wears multiple hats. You're not just an engineer, you're not just a cameraman, you're a cameraman, engineer, lighting, audio. You do it all. And there were times when I was working at the television station. I'm still in high school, understand this, and I'm taking these classes in addition to my college prep courses. Uh, I'm learning how to become a journalist. I'm graduating with my FCC broadcast license, engineering licenses that I don't even think they even require them anymore. Or if they do, it's not as involved as it was when back in the 70s when I took the classes or got licensed. But it was the old school who, what, where, when, and why. With the who and what and when being more heavily covered than the why. Because the why was the part that was always less uh, factually based and more opinionated. Why did somebody do something? Because he's an idiot, because he's this, he's that. So that's where journalists throw in their personal biases. And that's why our instructors, they said that was the least important part of a newscast or of a news article. The most important things to get right was the who did it, the when they did it, and how they did it, not why. Unless you interviewed them directly and got them to state why you didn't do it. You did not interject opinion. And believe me, they wrapped us hard in these classes if we came, whenever opinion slid into our reporting. And they were damn sneaky about it too. The scenarios that they had set up, they were damn sneaky. And but anyway, today's journalists, there are no pure journalists anymore that do not interject their personal opinion. Um, one of the things, even back 20 years ago, they would ask the kids in the journalism departments of colleges, why they wanted to become a journalist. And it was, to change the world, to get this story out, it wasn't to report on the facts. A lot of the young journalists, was because I want to make the world a better place. I want to bring these facts to light. And they've gotten away with it. They've gotten away with supporting, you know, Democrats. They've gotten away with supporting or being anti-Republican, being anti-conservative, uh, letting their personal bias go through. And I don't care what network you look at, um, they're going to do it. Now, if it's going to be like Fox News, let's look at Fox News. All right, because that's the one everybody seems to hate the most. That seems to be the most hated news network. Hi, dear. It's not what I thought it was. It's a welcoming kit from the new drug medicine.
Oh,
Okay.
no, Diane, that's sending packages and doesn't want them to get wet.
Oh, Diane. Oh,
If I do the laundry, will it bother you?
no.
Okay.
So
They
anyway,
hate True, yo.
so Terry Moran. Here's a couple of posts by Terry Moran. All right, dealing with Donald Trump. And these are ones that he had not deleted. This first is from November 18th of 2024. What happened in November of 2024? Donald Trump was elected. Donald Trump has ignited a populist revolt the moment he came down that escalator. Millions of Americans demanding change, not sure of what it might look like. Oh, we want change. We don't know what that change is going to be, but we want change. Now, we knew exactly what change we were voting for when we voted for Trump. Bringing along their own ideas and resentments. Ooh. And found in this man their instrument. They've made converts every election. As a reporter, one who covered Brexit in 2016, Brexit, that's when Britain exiting the European Union. All right. It was clear to me from the start that Trump was not an ordinary American politician and his movement not an ordinary American political coalition. No, this was our nationalist moment. Keep that in mind, nationalist moment. That term there, nationalist, because it plays in a very important in a later. In 2016, I told colleagues Trump would win. People thought I was crazy. I called Biden in 2020 because he was the last normie, and pandemic Trump was too much for too many voters. No, pandemic Trump wasn't too much. The reason Trump lost was the fear mongering by the Democrats. The Democrats shutting down entire states, making people stay home. Democrats, going out and arresting people for sitting in the church's parking lot, attending services, yet allowing hundreds of thousands of people to get together to protest. People sitting in a church parking lot were arrested. sitting in their cars, some of them even wearing masks, were arrested for breaking cities' ordinances against groups getting together in groups because the pandemic.
An ordinance isn't a law, though. I mean, can you get arrested for violating an ordinance? Come on.
Yes, yes, you can because
I mean, I knew you were going to say yes, but it's still bullshit.
an ordinance is just a law passed by a city. Okay, it's not a state law. Laws are passed by states and the federal government. Ordinances are passed by cities and counties, but you can still be arrested for them. Just like you can be arrested for breaking the speed limit. You can be arrested for not wearing your seatbelt. Normally, what would be a ticketable item, you can get arrested for it depending on how big of a SOB your cop wants to be. So, yeah, you can be arrested and charged for breaking an ordinance. And remember, but all these, the economic downturn because of the pandemic and the way it was treated in so many cities and states. I mean, remember, Florida flourished because DeSantis came down hard on cities that, especially tourist towns that closed their beaches. This year, okay, back to Moran's post. This year, I said it felt like Trump would win again. Why? Not polls. It seems to me they never caught up with the consistent growth of Trump's movement, but because everywhere I looked, in my neighborhood, out on the campaign trail, on social media and old media, you can see and sense that millions of new converts were joining this movement. Latinos, young men, black men, working class people of all backgrounds. You could feel of that. Why Latinos, young men, black men, working class people? Why? Because the Democratic Party became too elitist. Rosie O'Donnell out there telling us how we're supposed to live. All right. All their spokes, they didn't have the average person. You had AOC out there. You got the squad out there. You got all these people out there telling us how we're supposed to live our lives, but all these people have got money. You hear the Hollywood actors. Oh, we feel what you're going through. They're saying as they're flying across the country in their private jets.
They don't feel shit.
But Trump is out there. What did Trump do? Trump went out, worked at McDonald's, for God's sake. He drove around in a garbage truck.
About it.
The left tried to make fun of him, for having a golden toilet and his long, well-known penchant for beautiful women and gold, anything gold. But they made fun of the fact that he loves McDonald's and Diet Cokes. He loves that Big Mac and a Diet Coke. But he's never smoked. He's never drank alcohol. Now, and I've said, even when Trump ran the first time, I said I never hold Trump up as a way that person should live their life. Cheating on his wives the way he did. I mean, the man had 4 marriages. That's yeah. He cheated.
He afford it.
I mean, he cheated on one wife, supposedly while she was in the hospital giving birth to their child. And then, the grab him by the pee statement that he made, that women would let him grab him by the pee. Well, I mean, you've got a multi-millionaire or billionaire. I mean, look at Elon Musk. The man's got how many children does he have by different women? And he just writes them all a check for a couple $1 million and tell them to leave them alone. Here, go live your life. Here's a few $1 million. Go live your life. Is that something I'd personally advocate? No. But I don't have to like the way a person has some aspects of remember, we were taught this by Bill Clinton. It's only sex. So what if it was sex in the White House, sex in the Oval Office? It was still only sex. Remember that? But as soon as it became Trump, then it's all about sex. He can't keep it in his pants. Then
Losers anyway. You're a loser, do you?
then back to Moran's statement here. How many suburban women are there? I jokingly asked friends who were convinced Harris would win. Not enough, it turns out. Suburban women went for Trump. Where Harris's support, black women and college-educated women and college-educated men. Why? Because the Democrats, they played up Harris being half black. They played that up big time to get the black women. We got to support her because she's half black. We got to get that black woman in the White House. I mean, we actually had there were people out there on social media saying that. They didn't give a damn about what her issues were. It was that we've got to get this black woman in the White House. It's our turn. We need that representation. Whereas men of all races are sitting there saying, man, I need a job. I'm not worried about representation. I need somebody that's going to get me to where I can, get jobs for us out there. The way to understand Trump, as I said on ABC election 2016, is not to see him as a Republican, a Democrat, or conservative or liberal, but as a nationalist. Remember that. This is twice now in 2018 that he referred to Trump as a nationalist. Protectionist on trade, restrictionist on immigration, tending towards isolationist in foreign relations, a cultural recommendist. Wow. And I meant to look up that word to see exactly what he meant by it. And doing a quick rev share. Okay. A policy of seeking to retaliate, especially to recover lost territory. That is revancist. Okay, whatever. I know I'm not going to. Then similar conservatism, ultra conservatism, and the right. Anyway, let's see here. From French, meaning revenge. All right, so we got that down. So, I mean, there's protectionism on trade. Hey, protectionism on trade, yeah, that's good for the American business. Restrictionist on immigration. Restrictionist on illegal immigration. See, it's amazing how they always forget to say illegal. to make a differential between legal and illegal. They always seem to forget to do that. Tending to isolationism in foreign relations. We don't need involved in every foreign war there is. A lot of these wars don't involve us. We don't need to be involved in them. And like many nationalist leaders, he's a man with an authoritarian cast of mind and personality to match. I'm describing all this, not endorsing any political point of view. Yeah, right. In 2018, Moran was saying how he didn't like Trump. Now let's jump forward to 2025. Again, Terry Moran. In our time, the divisive electoral issue in a developed country after developed countries is immigration. People have a right to say who comes in their country and at what pace they are admitted. That's not racism, that's self-government. Hey, that very good, Terry. You're right there. Just as you have the right to say who comes onto your house, who comes into your property. A country has the right to say who can come into their country, who can live in your country. Not only who can come there, but who can live there. And how long can they stay? And if people start breaking your rules, you can tell them to leave. Well, you said I could stay for this long. Sorry, but you're not following our rules. You need to leave now. What applies to what you do in your home and on your property also applies to the country. By turning migration into a moral demand, a matter of right rather than policy, advocates have ignited a backlash, one driven mostly by ordinary and legitimate economic and democratic concerns, and to a lesser extent by some uglier attitudes. Yes, there's an undeniable racist component to the nationalist movement. Remember, in 2018, he called Trump a nationalist. He said Trump was a nationalist at least twice in his previous posts in 2018. He is saying Trump is a racist. It's the loss of control and order at the borders that disturbs decent middle-class people who value stability and a steady progress over top-down socioeconomic innovation, a radical redefinition of the national character imposed by corporate interests aligned with an academic elite. Boy, what a mouthful there. You go to a college campus today, and you'll hear, the open borders. No such thing as borders. That's where the open border crowd comes from our college-educated idiots. And the reason why I say that is because so many of our colleges, as we've seen here this past two years, they are so filled with the liberalism of hatred towards America, hatred based upon your religion, Jews, that that is our academic elite. And that's what they teach and pound into the heads of these college kids. And it's not just at the Ivy League schools that this happens. It happens all the way down to your high schools and middle schools. It happens to your elementary schools. No, that was the middle school teacher there that was wearing the 8647 shirt. You think she's not pressing stuff on her personal opinion into these kids? It's like at the beginning of the school year, and some of these teachers say that they want uh, everybody to bring in a bunch of extra pencils, put them into a community chest, so that those who don't have a pencil can get one. And on this, oh, that's awful nice. But then parents stop buying their kids pencils because they tell them to take one out of the community chest. Same way with paper. All these classroom supplies.
Well, my friend bought her daughter stuff with her name all over it, like personalized paper. Her notebooks had her name printed in them. Her pencils had her name in gold lettering. Teacher flipped her shit and said, personalized supplies are not allowed. She was like, go ahead, give one of the little booths over there to see what his mom says. Let's do this. Let's dance. So, yeah.
Yeah, really.
That, I love my children. Anyway, let me mute.
All right. Let's see here. Let's go on here. It is one of the deepest, most honorable human emotions to love the land you're from and to hold precious and to protect it. To me, my whole life, I've thought that the glorious thing about the USA is that our homeland belongs equally to Mayflower Americans and our newest citizens, including those who obtained that status by birthright. Americans are not an ethnicity, we're an adventure. There's an issue. Okay, this is the beginning of that. Okay, this sounds good at the beginning. This really does. Oh wow, yeah. Anybody can become an American just by coming to the country. And you notice how he states here, those who obtain that status by birthright. The birthright citizenship issue. That's what he's talking about here. And illegals come to the country and they all, and have or they come on a visa. I mean, it used to be a big thing in the Far East and the Middle East. Pregnant women coming to the United States and staying long enough to have their baby here so that their baby become an American citizen. Anchor babies. That term has sort of fallen out of use, but that's still happening, especially right now. Well, my children are American citizens. You can't deport me. Yes, we can. Well, you're separating from my children. No, your children can go with you if you want. If you want your children to go with you, yeah, they're American citizens, but you can still take them with you. Well, I need to stay here with my children. No, you got to go. Well, you're separating from my children. We separate people from their children every day when we arrest them for other crimes. When we arrest other people for crimes, we separate them from their children all the time. Back to Moran here, unlike other countries grounded in blood and soil and sectarianism and languageism begins and endures as an ideal, God, what a privilege it is to be American. Now, he's absolutely right there. But telling voters they must consent to the economic policies and moral attitudes of the educated professional classes when it comes to immigration, no matter the negative impact on lives and communities, that is a recipe for a populist revolt. And that is exactly what happens across the West. Because the elite started opening borders to everyone. importing people from every place and setting them up, refugee camps, bringing in, and I'm going there, bringing in Muslims from all over the Middle East when they would not be accepted by other Muslim countries. And they bring them in and set them up in our country. And we've seen the progression. Uh, I'm going to do a very poor rendition of it, okay? Bring in, at first, it's thank you for bringing us here. Our countries are so poor we couldn't survive. We appreciate you. We love this country because it's given us a chance to be free from the what was going on in our old country. Then as their population grows, they bring in more Muslims, bring in more Muslims. It's you have to follow, you have to allow us to practice our religion and our policies, our ways of life. And then finally, there's so many, like in Dearborn and other cities in the Northwest or middle part of the country where Obama and Biden brought in more and more Muslims, Somali refugees and such. That's how we got Ilhan in the House of Rep. Okay. Uh, Christians try to participate and they get ran out of town. They get arrested. They get stoned. You have the president of Somalia come over and praise Ilhan for everything she does for Somalia and how she puts Somalia ahead of the United States. You get demands like there was plans in Texas to have to build a Muslim only city. You had to be Muslim to move into it. That was the prep work for it.
They have those in Kuwait. They could go there.
Right.
Damn.
If you want to
They
live
already
someplace,
exist.
right. If you want to live someplace where the only Muslims are allowed, go to a Muslim country. Muslim countries ban Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, ABC correspondent suspended after post condemning Trump and Miller. Yeah, I know. I went over those two posts by Moran on X to show that this wasn't some off the wall, off the cuff comment that Moran made. Moran has been on Trump and said very nasty things about him since 2018. Not just this year, but all the way. ABC News has suspended Terry Moran, a longtime correspondent of the network, after a post appeared on his social media account panning President Trump and Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. ABC is telling a lie right here. ABC News stands for objectivity and impartiality in its news coverage and does not condone subjective personal attacks on others. Baloney. Nonsense. ABC News, CBS News, NBC, CNN, they're all the same one. All their news coverage is extremely slanted. And it's slanted left. They are not objective. They are not impartial. Just look at any debates that they host and the questions that they ask. Even Fox News Fox News, when they hosted and had, Megyn Kelly, and Megyn Kelly's first questions off the bat were hate-filled questions towards Trump. What did that? So what did Moran post? Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end, and the end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. Now, Moran did delete that post. Too late. It's been seen by a lot of people, and it's seen by enough people with enough complaints that ABC suspended him. He should have been fired, to be honest. But he hasn't been. And he'll be back. And remember, Trump gave an interview to Moran, and Trump, Trump sort of insulted him because he said, "Well, I'd never heard of you. That's why I picked you, because you're one of the reporters I hadn't heard of." So now, CBS, Trump has sued CBS to $20 billion. And it looks like he's going to win that because of the way that CBS edited Kamala's interviews. And last December, ABC News anchor George Stepp on All of Us settled with Trump after he sued them for libel. Moran said that Miller is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred, and he eats his hate. So Miller has been suspended, and I say good news to all of that. That's enough to make me happy. Maybe these guys will finally start to learn. All right, boy, I've only covered 2 people in the first hour. This may end up being a long stream today. Maxine Waters. Another hypocrite in the house. She's standing there on her pedestal, beating that January 6th insurrection, that riot at the White House, riot at the Capitol. Maxine Waters, this happened with old Maxine. There we go. This happened yesterday.
Congresswoman Waters, I just came to use my congressional authority.
Ma'am, our lobby is secure right now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
Contact our public affairs office.
I need to get in.
I'm Maxine Waters. I'm a congresswoman, and I am coming in there. And the guard stands there and says, "We are closed for security." This is in Los Angeles.
What is a woman, really?
They've got the riots going on, and Maxine is attempting to enter a detention center in the middle of riots. Now, yes, yes, as a result of what happened in New Jersey, we've all learned that Congress critters are supposed to be able to get into these facilities.
So let her in, lock the door, and send her with the rest.
Okay.
Oh, that'll be a problem right there.
But under normal circumstances, because remember the woman, I can't remember her name now, uh, House representative member that was arrested for beating the crap out of a security officer at the detention center there in New Jersey. Um, they started to let her in because she is a Congress critter and she's got the right to go in and inspect. But this place is closed down due to the riots. This isn't the normal, I'm Maxine Waters or I'm a Congress critter, let me in to see what's going on in your detention center. This is the middle of the damn riots. They're not going to let anybody in, Congress critter or not.
What are you hoping to
Wait, my check.
I just want to see David work. Would a congressperson normally be able to enter?
You can never tell.
What is happening
Yes.
here?
Well, there were some of the authorities, I don't know who they were, and I'm trying to get in to see David Work, who they have arrested. He is the head of SEIU local union here. I don't know why he was targeted. I don't know what they're doing with him. I don't know whether they're going to report him. I want to report back.
Okay, that's what she says. She's trying to get in there to see the union leader that was arrested at a protest at part of the riot. Now, there's rumors out there. I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't know. I haven't had a chance to see anything that actually confirmed, but there are rumors out there that he's illegal, that he is not in this country legally. And that's sort of what she was just saying, that she knows that the head of the SEIU is an illegal. It's amazing how some of these illegals have been in the country for 20, 30 years. A post this morning that I saw, the guy sitting there, my mom and dad came to this country 24 years ago from Mexico. We've been hardworking people living here for 24 years. Now my dad has been arrested and is going to be deported. My mom is afraid to leave the house. Are you saying that your parents have been here for 24 years illegally? And you're wondering why, they've been picked up, why your dad's gotten picked up when he was out there at the riots? Protesting. And you hear these guys on the left, just like back in 2020. Well, we've got the right to protest. It's in the First Amendment. You're right. But there's not just the word protest there, it's peaceably protest. Y'all keep forgetting that there's this magic word there, peaceably. Just like in the Second Amendment, you keep forgetting the part that says shall not be infringed. You forget very important words when it comes to the Constitution. And the word peaceably protest, peaceably to describe your protesting. And I'm so tired of hearing them. Well, look what you guys did on January 6th. One time. One time.
Right? That was an insurrection. That walk across our lobby was an insurrection.
Exactly. But look at 2020, the entire year of 2020, the whole damn summer. Look what let's look at 2016 or 2017 when Trump was inaugurated. What happened on Inauguration Day? January 20th, 2017. Look what happened. The
Yeah.
peaceful protests where cars were set on fire, stores had their windows broken out. The left seems to forget, and the media, and they're mostly peaceful protests. Meanwhile, there's fires everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's mostly peaceable protesting. But here's the article there about Maxine Waters. Okay. All 5 members, Representative Maxine Waters, Jimmy Cortez, and Jimmy Gomez and Norma Torres of California, and Representatives Adrano whatever and Nadia Velazquez, New York, said they should have been allowed to enter the buildings as members of Congress. But the building was being secured because of the riots. You can't get into a building that's shut down because of riots. The California representative said they were turned away from the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles. Waters said on Sunday she tried to see David Hota, president of the Service Employees International Union California, after he's arrested and apparently injured while protesting the raids. He was out performing criminal acts. He wasn't just peacefully protesting. I don't know why he was targeted, Waters said. Oh, he is a U.S. citizen. Okay. Waters said, Mr. Horta, who is a U.S. citizen, I don't know what they're doing with him. Horta is expected to be arraigned on Monday. Again, the building was closed down because of the riots. It's my personal opinion. When you got, I don't even know why those security guys were even outside to start with. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why they were outside to start with, unless they came out to tell them people to disperse, to leave them alone. But that building should have been, it should have been even tighter locked down. There should not been anybody short of being armed troops, armed guards outside to pepper spray and with the paintball guns. Anybody coming up onto the property. But now that is just my opinion. Okay.
Yeah, what somebody else suggested hooking up septic trucks with those huge hoses. And I'm like, yeah, do it. You didn't see it? It's like the same sort 2 mini game driving around hooked up to a septic tank and just spraying everybody with it. Man, that was the best part of that game. No, they had in the game. They had protest signs and everything, and you had to drive that truck and spray all those protesters. You had a kill count and everything. It was beautiful. To do it in real life, oh my God, I want to vote for that person who wants to do that in real life. I'll be so happy. It does something to my soul. I'm weird though.
But they've one of the things that these people have done, Trump really pissed off Newsom. Trump nationalized the California National Guard. And Hegseth, who is not anybody's fool, and he's not going to play these games with these people, has said that he wants to send in the Marine, or that He's going to have Marines on call ready to go in. And it's like, okay, you guys really want to play these silly games? Don't play them right now. This is not the time. As you guys probably, I don't know if you all just heard it, but I'm setting up I've just put in my next to the last syringe and getting everything ready for my last syringe. About 45 minutes from now, I'll be putting in my last syringe, getting my medicine done for the day. Yay! I'll tell you, that's that box I got in as a welcoming kit for the new set of medicine. I'll be so glad when I get on that here next month. Oh, Ramen, you dropped again. Okay.
Yeah, I keep checking for my because they're going to be at the carrier soon. I'm very excited. Once it leaves the carrier, it goes pretty quick. I'm actually in between a lot of the pickup things like whatchamacallit, Staples and the mall and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited. Sure, will finally be approving of me. Yay!
So, right here's an article. Hexas threatens to send Marines to L.A. Border Czar Homan threatens Newsom and Mayor Bass with arrest. As Trump has deployed 2,000 troops from California's National Guard to L.A. to quell the protests opposing federal government's immigration policies and the campaign of deportations. Boy, you can tell that the bias in this article. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has threatened to send Marines to the city if violence continues. Meanwhile, Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, a longtime immigration and customs enforcement enforcement official, now spearheading the administration's deportation efforts. Remember, we would not be having these deportation efforts if Biden had followed the laws. And also remember, one of Biden's first things to do on his first day of being president, a little over 4 years ago, was revoke all of Trump's efforts, 90-some executive orders, if I remember correctly, including the Remain in Mexico policy, and just open up the southern border to millions of illegals coming across the border. If that had not happened, if the Biden administration simply continued the basic border security that Trump had in place and continued to finish the wall with the materials that have been purchased and a lot of them positioned to go up, we would not be having these issues that we're having today. Because so many, millions of those illegals would not be in this country today to have to be deported. Anyway, Holman warned that it's going to be a matter of time before somebody gets seriously hurt. There have already been people seriously hurt, and someone's going to lose their life. Declined to rule out the possibility that ICE or federal officials killing someone in an interview on NBC News on Sunday. Somebody's going to die. You can't say no one's going to die when you've got these riots going on like this, where protesters, rioters are throwing rocks and explosive devices at federal authorities. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to end up dying. He also threatened Newsom and L.A. Mayor Karen Bass with arrest and prosecution if they cross that line of harboring undocumented immigrants or impeding law enforcement. Trump said later on Sunday, if officials stand in the way of law and order, they will face criminal charges. That's right. Remember, they want to proclaim that LA and California is a sanctuary city and state. That doesn't mean squat. That's just saying that local officials will not assist in deporting illegals. That doesn't mean that cities and such can hide illegals or stand in the way of federal of law enforcement agencies from deporting illegals. You can sit there and say, hey, I'm not going to help you. You can do that all day long. But you can't stand there and say that we're not going to let you do it. We're going to stop you from doing it. We're going to hide these people. Because the federal law still trumps anything a city or state does. Federal laws still trump city and state laws, ordinances, resolutions, whatever. California officials, including Newsom, have decried Trump's decision to deploy National Guards after protesters clashed with law enforcement on Friday and Saturday. The Posse Comitatus Act, which makes it illegal for the military, including National Guard, when under federal control, to participate in domestic law enforcement. It's not clear how the president and his Pentagon chief intend to circumvent the law. When the city refuses to deploy law enforcement, to quell rioters, and make no doubt about it, this is not the first time that National Guards have been brought in to quell riots. This is not the first time. It's happened many, many, many times before. If the cities would do what they're supposed to do, enforce the laws, stop the protesters. Uh, I mean, let let me let's see here. Okay, here's the video that I want. Let's see. I think I've got the volume turned up on this. Yep. Okay, you heard what he just said. So they're saying that we're not going to help the federals enforce federal law. You refused to assist until after it got out of hand. extremely well out of hand, and it got to the point where there was, time for the National Guard to come in and put down the riots. These aren't peaceful protests; these are riots. The only thing, again, there's complaints about these ICE agents being masked and not identifying themselves by name. The problem with that is these professional, the people on the left have been doxing them and calling their families, threatening their wives, threatening their children. There's going to be people arrested for this, for making threats to the families of these federal agents. And depending on which judge they get, they'll probably just get a slap on the wrist and release instead of getting real jail terms, real punishments. We could probably end up filling the detention centers with prisoners from these riots, with prisoners and then when I say prisoners, I'm talking about people convicted of crimes for what they do during these riots, for doxing and threatening the families of federal authorities. But once again, we've got to worry about what the what what's going on. We got to worry. We've got to sit back and wait and see how exactly how much rioting is going to be happening. I mean, they've already done $500 million worth of damage. The left out there have accused him of invoking the Insurrection Act, but he hasn't done it yet. But if you listen to some of these idiots in social media, Trump has already invoked the Insurrection Act. No, he hasn't. He's been asked if he was going to invoke the Insurrection Act. But he hasn't. He said that, the amount of rioting hasn't gotten to the point yet to where he wants to do that. We have got to. This is going to be the dirty job. This is one of these times coming up with these riots that, in order to maintain peace, they may end up having to bend the law a bit. They may have to put federal troops on the streets because of the protesters being so riotous. Because the local officials won't do their jobs and haven't done their jobs. And remember, let's go now. The left made such a big deal over January 6th, but they're absolutely ignoring, they absolutely ignored the 2020. They absolutely, they're endorsing what's going on now. email only. This just, yesterday. On June 7th, dear Secretary Hegseth, on June 7th, 2025, President Trump issued a memorandum to your office entitled Department of Defense Security for Protection of Department of Homeland Security Functions. This memorandum proposed to invoke 10 U.S.C. 12406 to call into federal service and units of National Guard to temporarily protect ICE and other United States government personnel who are performing federal functions, including the enforcement money. They've got no problem with destroying federal property. They tried to put police that turn up, set fire to police stations with cops in sight. They tried to set fire to courthouses. Remember? The memorandum further directs actions as necessary for the Secretary of Defense to coordinate with the governors of the states and National Guard Bureau to identify and ordering into federal service the appropriate members and units of the National Guard under its authority. Section 12406 states the President may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard of any state in such numbers as he considers necessary to repel invasion by a foreign nation, to suppress a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or to execute the laws of the United States when the President is unable to do so with regular forces. Gee whiz, what's going on out here? We have a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. There is an open rebellion against a deportation of illegal immigrants. Let's call it what it is. It's not armed yet. Well, I don't know. Throwing rocks and explosive devices at federal authorities, I'm going to consider that armed. May only be armed with rocks and explosive devices, but it's still rocks and explosive devices being thrown at federal forces. And execute the laws of the United States when the president's unable to do so with regular forces. Well, when the police departments refuse to assist federal authorities to do their job, then yeah. So 2 out of 3 sounds good to me. Last night, the Adjutant General of California received a memorandum from your office with the subject line calling members of the California Guard into federal service, which states that 2,000 members, let me enlarge this again, 2,000 members of the California National Guard will be called in federal service effective immediately for a period of 60 days. Notably, this directive did not issue through the governor of the state. That's right. Damn straight, because you're one of the people that are sitting there saying that you will not assist the federal authorities because you've proclaimed California to be a sanctuary state. You refuse to send your state police in to assist. The Department of Defense did not transmit this directive to the office of the governor, nor was it approved or ordered by the governor of California. This directive is also consistent with the president's memorandum, which anticipates coordination with the governor of the states in identifying and ordering units National Guard federal service. At present, law enforcement authorities from the city and county of Los Angeles are safeguarding public safety, and it's demonstrated by the robust law enforcement response yesterday evening. Yesterday evening, after the riots had already been going on for hours, for 2 days, you finally send somebody in there after the riots have been going on for 2 days. And what did they do? They half-assed blocked streets that people got around with no problem. There is currently no need for the National Guard to be deployed in Los Angeles, and to do so in this unlawful manner for such lengthy period is a serious breach of state sovereignty that seems intentionally designed to inflame the situation while simultaneously depriving the state of deploying these personnel resources where they are truly required.
How are you going to have sovereignty when all your goal is protecting people that don't actually live there? You know what? I'm a dumbass. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to shut up.
Accordingly, we ask that you
Yeah.
immediately rescind your order and return the National Guard to its rightful control of the state of California to be deployed as appropriate when necessary. David Sapp, Legal Affairs Secretary, Office of Governor Newsom. Governor Newsom, David Sapp, if y'all done your jobs, if your cities had done your jobs, their jobs, if Biden had done his job, if Mayorkas had done his job, what's going on now wouldn't be happening. But no, all you guys wanted to do is let millions of people to illegally cross our borders and set up homes. You did it. You are more than glad to let all these illegals in. Why? There's been a lot of ideas as to why. Some say, to build your base. Definitely allowed you to build up your congressional representation. Definitely allowed you to build up your electoral college votes. Democrats aren't stupid because representation and electoral college votes are not based upon the population of U.S. citizens, but the total population, including illegals, non-citizens, and illegals. If we could, if that part of the laws were changed, that representation was based upon the population of U.S. citizens only, states like California would lose a lot of their representation in Congress because they've got so many illegals there. Many New York would lose representative powers, which would in turn cause them to lose votes in the electoral college. These aren't stupid people. Not all of them. They got a lot of stupid people in their party, but they're not stupid people. They're knowing how to play the long game. Where's the article? Here we go. This may have already happened. Newsom plans to sue Trump admin over National Guard deployment to LA, even as LAPD chief admits cops are overwhelmed by violent anti-rice riots. California Governor Newsom plans to file a lawsuit. The Democrats love filing lawsuits against Trump. They love filing lawsuits. And they get them before these district judges appointed by Biden and Obama that rule against Trump. And then he's got to appeal it. And of course, then he gets, look, he got ruled against and he's violating a court order. California Governor Newsom plans to file a lawsuit against the Trump admin early Monday morning over the president's deployment of 300 National Guard troops to Los Angeles, even as LAPD chief admitted Sunday his cops are overwhelmed. Newsom announced he'll be suing the admin after he sent the letter to Secretary of Defense Hegseth Sunday, formally requesting that he rescind the unlawful deployment of troops and return them to state control, as there's no current need for the guardsmen. No. Really, really, Gavin, you don't believe there's a need for the guardsmen to be out there? Are you serious? President, law enforcement authorities from the city and county of LA are safeguarding public safety, as demonstrated by the robust enforcement yesterday. But your own people are saying that they can't do it, that they need help. He claimed the Trump administration did not coordinate the sending of troops with his office as required. At the same time, Department of Defense has warned it has 500 Marines ready to deploy to California City if violence continues. At least 2,000 rioters shut down the 101 freeway while others hurled fireworks and concrete blocks at officers. Two drove motorcycles into the police line. Another group lit several driverless Waymo cars on fire, sending toxic fumes into the air. Looters have already begun ransacking stores. Gavin, if your police forces, if the city and county and state police forces are able to do the job, why are the stores being ransacked? Why? Even the 2,000 National Guards doesn't sound like it's enough. It sounds like you need more people. You're not protecting shit. Now, so this photograph here, you see, they're flying the Mexican flag. Now, all these people, they don't want to live in Mexico. They want to live in the United States, but they want to fly that Mexican flag. That's bad optics. Somebody's gotten to him and said, that's bad optics for you to be flying Mexican flags on American soil like this in the middle of these riots. You really ought to be flying American flags to show that you got love for the United States. So you should be flying the U.S. flag. So we may see more of these rioters now carrying the U.S. flags, because it's not because they actually love America, love our country, but for optics. We're Americans. We're not Mexicans. Because right now, they're flying the Mexican flags. They're proud to be Mexican. They don't want to live in Mexico, but they're proud to be Mexican. This is a problem. And now, like I said, you'll probably, since they've been talked to, since the directives have come down, you'll probably see them flying more American flags instead of Mexican flags. And not flags from other countries. There was Honduran flags being flown, Guatemalan flags being flown, Brazilian flags. I thought I saw a couple of Venezuelan flags being flown yesterday. But does this look like peaceful protest? Doesn't look like peaceful protesting to me. That doesn't look like peaceful protesting. Cops has also fired pellets and tear gas at crowds, striking numerous protesters and media working on the site. At least 3 officers have been injured and 27 people arrested. LAPD Chief Jim McDonald called the barbarity disgusting during a news conference where he said protests have gotten increasingly worse and more violent. We are overwhelmed. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. If you look here, you see these are tear gas canisters. These are paintball guns. Where's this picture? Right here it is. These are paintball guns, people. It's just instead of being filled with paintballs, the pellets are filled with tear gas. You hear, Maxine Waters and crew claiming that they're out there at the M4s and M16s. Weapons of war! They're not weapons of war. They're out there with paintball guns, people. They're not shooting 5.57s or 2.23s at people. They're shooting paintball guns. They're shooting paintballs filled with tear gas. Look at these protesters in the streets. Look at these people. This is all yesterday. These aren't peaceably protesters. See what flag are those? Aren't American flags they're flying? Those are Mexican flags. This is where I say, these protesters should be getting run over. These people in these cars are trying to get someplace. They should run these protesters over. How many people are trying to get to work? How many people there are trying to get to medical appointments? How many people are trying to get someplace they have to be? And they're being held up by these damn protesters. I've got no problems with when protesters take over the streets like that. I got no problems with the vehicles driving them over. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Doesn't bother me one bit. If they end up in the hospital, if they end up hurt, if they end up even dying, that's their problem. Then they should not have been in the streets. This is not peaceful protesting. Again, this is not peaceful protesting. These protesters attacking the California National Guard here. And people, I don't have the video with me. Okay. People were out there with babies. I mean, babies under the age of 3. And then getting mad. My baby got tear gas.
Yeah, that's child negligence. That needs a charge.
My baby got tear gas. That's terrible. Well, why was your baby there? Why? What would make you take a child to a riot? Why would you do that? Why would you take a child to a riot? Now, of course, Newsom is saying, well, take just, putting the National Guard out there is purposefully inflaming the people. Really? Are you saying if he hadn't called up the guard that all those rioters wouldn't be out there in the streets? Excuse me, but it seems like the rioters were there before the guard got called up. You're putting the cart behind the horse there, Newsom. That doesn't look very peaceful there. That really and truly doesn't. Dale's Donuts. Man, that sign, Dale's has been in more movies and TV shows. That's iconic. And look, these people are standing in front of it, waving the Mexican flag while uh, having a car on fire in the background. Setting police cars on fire there. I heard you pop back in there, Raman.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Like I said, this isn't peaceful protesting. There's nothing peaceable about this. Yes, the National Guard needs to be there. Sheriff Department having to escort fire trucks through the street. Milk sales going through the roof. Protesters buying it to treat being tear gassed. I have no idea what kind of cross that is that person's holding up. Viva Mexico! Like I said, they're getting word, though, not to fly Mexican flags or fly flags of other countries. That they're supposed to start buying American flags to wave out there. All for optics. Yeah, this gentleman here looks like he's really being peaceful, doesn't he? He is really being peaceful. These people, yeah. Unfreaking believable. Just unfreaking believable. Okay, what's this here? Oh, Raman, your camera's on, right? There you go. Justice Jackson. Trump's winning at the Supreme Court. Justice Jackson warns about a troubling message. President Donald Trump is on a winning streak, getting quick assistance from the Supreme Court after lower courts have put the brakes on his policies. Yeah, like I said before, lower courts are sitting there, and the Democrats are going to the lower courts begging to get to impede Trump in what he's trying to do. Stuff that he ran on, promises that he made, things that he said he was going to do, and then he got voted to do. He got elected into office to do the things that he said he wants to do. Okay? It's that plain and simple. Democrats ran, but I showed I think I showed the video. I had the video called up one day. A Democrat sitting there who was proud of the fact that on Inauguration Day, they had a guy on a radio that 1 minute after Trump was sworn into office, they filed their first lawsuit against Trump. 1 minute. And he was proud about that. He said that they had filed a total of 200 plus lawsuits against Trump. And they're proud of that fact that they've done that. There we go. Trying to get my stuff situated here so I can fill my last syringe. But anyway, Justice Jackson finds it troubling that Trump is winning at the Supreme Court and overturning all these Democrat judges' rulings that they had no authority to be making in the first place. A district judge, of which there's 625 of them, if I remember correctly, is not something's leaking. Oh, okay, I see what was leaking. It is not empowered to be the president. These district judges are not elected to office. They're appointed. They are there. They're all these nationwide bans that they've been putting. That's not in their jurisdiction to do that. But they seem to think it is when it's not. Okay, give me just a second here, people. I'm sorry. I've got to run some tap water. I apologize for what you're about to hear. And I apologize for the interruption. It doesn't happen too often, but every now and again, setting up this syringe, something goes a little wrong. I got too much air in there. So can I get that apart? No, I'll just have to do this upside down. I got too much air in that thing. So I'll just put it upside down to where all the air is not going into the tube. Oh, I'm sorry, people. Let me get back over here to the computer now. That's prompted one of the three liberal justices to write that the court is sending a troubling message that is departing from basic legal standards for the administration. It's particularly startling to think that the grants of relief in these circumstances might. Now they're putting in the word unintentionally. That wasn't what she said though. They put that in there. So I'm not so might be conveying not only preferential treatment for the government, but also a willingness to undercut both our lower courts colleagues' well-reasoned interim judgments and well-established constraints of law that they are in the process of enforcing. And those who think like you, to the majority of the court, they weren't well-reasoned. And they did not follow well-established constraints of law. You just think they do because you agree with them and because you don't like Trump. You would never agree to those constraints if that was Joe Biden, if that was Camel Toe. You would not. Remember, aren't you the one that couldn't define what a woman was? Because you're not a biologist, so you didn't, when asked by Senator Blackburn, Marsha Blackburn, to define a woman, you said, I can't do that because I'm not a biologist. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here looking at my wife as she heads out into the garage. I can damn well tell you what a woman is. I can define a woman. I'm not a biologist. I don't have a medical degree. I'm just an average person, spent 20 years in the military, and I tell you what, I can tell you damn well what a woman is. I could spend a half hour describing everything a woman is. But you seem to feel that you have to be a biologist to do that? Jackson was dissenting from the conservative majority decision to give Elon Musk Department of Government Efficiency complete access to the data of millions of Americans kept by the U.S. Social Security Administration. Once again, they were not asking for any more access to it than any other government employee who has been vetted and has the proper security clearances could do when in that job. These weren't just people picked up off the streets, and Elon Musk personally wasn't doing it. He had his dozen or so computer geniuses taking care of that job. Why is my sister's? Oh, she sent me another text. Okay, Ramen. Yep. I was just double checking to make sure you didn't have your camera on again.
Thank you.
Of Disney to do that. People are. Lily Tino has been defending himself doing this. People have taken the videos of him that he released on his social media and sent them not only to Disney, but to Ron DeSantis and to the state police. Hopefully, because Lily Tino here, I believe he is trying to get himself arrested, charged, and go to trial. How, they're banning a trans woman from going to the women's bathrooms. No, you're going to the women's bathrooms and taking photographs, which is explicitly illegal. in the state of Florida, especially when there are women, the other people in the background. Wow, my stuff is so screwed up. It's not, my phone's not even showing me now. Show me on the computer, but not on my phone. Boy, this is what happens when I do a little bit longer stream than usual. But
Well,
Lily Tino Lily Tino needs to go to jail. Let me drop, since you're in there, let me drop out for a second, come back and see if my,
hey, I thought that was muted.
let me change avatar here real quick. Let me change that avatar and see if that gets me back up on the, because it's showing fine on my computer, but there it goes. I got it on my phone finally. Okay, so let me change my avatar back to the other one. So anyway, well, that's all I had for today. Oh, where are you heading to now, babe?
Target.
Oh, okay. Well, have fun. Enjoy yourself. What you looking to buy at Target?
Ooh, Tarjay.
Ooh, yeah, she's going to Target to get her special creamer. Walmart and Winn-Dixie don't carry.
Never too early for a pumpkin.
Walmart and Winn-Dixie doesn't carry the creamers she likes,
Of course not.
so she has to go to Target to get it. We'll see you later, babe.
Bye.
Spanky doesn't like it when she goes outside and leaves him in the house.
Of course,
But
thank you.
Anyway, well, that's about all I got for the day. You know, nobody showed up today. Did you notice that? It's just been you and me.
That is super weird.
Nobody's shown up for the past few days.
I don't know. I saw people on Friday. They were just kind of quiet, but they pop in every once in a while.
Dana
This is
hasn't shown
weird.
up. Dana
Did you?
hasn't showed up.
Nobody.
Digi, Neil.
I
Oh well.
could have seen chat every time I looked up. There was nothing. That made me sad.
Yep. Oh well. Like I've always said, though, this stream is for me to let me vent out, and if nobody shows,
I
nobody
hear
shows.
you.
So, but anyway, that's all I got for the day. I'm going to go back and watch some more protests, see what's going on out in LA today. And I'll finally listen to Monkey's stream. Monkey started streaming last night just as I was getting ready to go to bed.
He did.
So I set up the computer to run his stream on live stream. That way he got credit for it while I, just let my computer run it while I went to bed. I know that's cheap, but what the hell, let him get, the algorithm for my computer playing. But I did both the Rumble and the YouTube streams that way.
That's all. That's just now.
So, let him get the views. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Besides that, I need to go to the bathroom. So
have fun. Remember.
y'all have a good day. Anybody that does catch us later on, have a good day. Enjoy yourselves.
Remember, anything more.
Love the ones that you're with.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.